morning.
Good morning.
I want to start with a poem. Many of you may know the beautiful, incredible, inspirational writer Marge Piercy, a great feminist poet, who spent her life as an activist and as a writer. She wrote a poem that inhabits me and speaks to the person we know in Mollie, called Stone, Paper, Knife, like the old kids game. Who shall bear hope? Who else but us? After us is the long wind blowing off the ash pit of blasted genes. Or after the remarrying of the earth and the water, we must begin with the stone of mass resistance and pile stone upon stone upon stone. Begin cranking out the whirlwinds of paper. The word that embodies before anybody can rise to dance on the wind, and then the sword of action that cuts through. We must shine with hope, stained glass windows that shape light into icons, glow like lanterns born before procession. Who can bear hope back into the world but us, you, my other flesh, all of us who have seen the face of hope at least once, in vision, in dream, in marching, who sang hope back into rising like a conjured snake, who found its flower above timberline, melting by a glacier. Hope sleeps in our bones like a bear waiting for the spring to rise and walk. Today in the City of Angels, we come together to remember one of the guardian angels. A town that was given its name when a small group of Franciscans came through this native land just north of Skid Row today, in a place that I visited just 2 months ago where about 25 people are encamped where the Arroyo Seco and the Los Angeles rivers meet. They took communion in a body of water and christened it El Rio de Nuestra Señora, La Reina de los Ángeles de Porciúncula, which thankfully we've shortened to Los Angeles. But they named it that because of their saint, St. Francis, a man that as he led the world and tried to inspire vision, a saint just as Mollie was, he too needed a place to go to find his peace. In Italian it was called the Porciuncula, which meant a small portion of land. It was next to his church. It wasn't his church, but where he went to retreat. Reminds me of Mollie's Ranch. It was a place in Spanish, Porciuncula, that they named, but the part that we are known for now is not that name, it is the angels. And today we come together to remember somebody who was an advocate, who taught us that there is no such thing as a group of people called the homeless. There are people who are homeless. There are not addicts, there are people who are struggling with addiction. There are not people who are felons, there are people who have served time. And until we get back to understanding that it is you, my other flesh, that we are here to serve, we will never solve this problem. She was a woman who was determined to treat everyone in this city with the dignity that was given to them by their Creator. And she passed my strictest of tests, my staff knows this, the head, heart, gut test. She taught us, first of all, to remember our humanity, our heart, that every single time we walk by or drive somebody who speaks to us or asks us for some change or who reaches out to us, when we turn away, we have no heart. But if we turn towards, we remember our hearts and who we are. But a heart isn't enough. Mollie showed us that that's the head that has to think through, how do we actually serve those people? Our goodwill is the beginning, but the middle of this pathway is the solutions. And a housing first strategy was the way that she pioneered, something we now take for granted, something that we now see as a national model, something that everybody says if we could just scale that up. But there was a time when that wasn't the consensus. Mollie also used her head to understand it isn't just about the big policies, it's about navigating the intricacies of the map that I live in and that too many of you live in. The map of overlapping bureaucracies and jurisdictions, of no, I can't do that, or please talk to somebody else, or let me put you on hold, or come back another time. That we must have the urgency to use our heads to be smart to get through that pathway. And then the third is she taught us to have guts. Because we can have all the caring in the world and we can have even the solutions, but if we don't have the guts to see it through, in the face of protest or in the face of indifference, in the face of bad policy or the face of dehumanization, we will not get through to our final destination. But she also taught us to remember ourselves and to remember that we have to take care of who we are. Brenda Shockley, our deputy mayor who oversees economic opportunity and homelessness, said just after she accepted the position to come work for the city with me that she talked to Mollie right after that. And listening to this tribute, it is one of the most beautiful tributes I've ever been to, one in which you feel and understand the person. Mollie worked hard for her small portion, for her portionhood. And I hope that somewhere in heaven she has that today. A place that's as beautiful as her ranch, that's as clear as the mountains that she hiked in the Sierras. But a place too where her friends are there with her. Because it isn't, in the old Jewish tradition, in my tradition, it used to be said that you could not pray. It was a sin if you prayed in a room without a window. When I asked my rabbi why that was, she said, it's because prayer isn't a solitary thing. People need to see the divinity come out through the windows. And Mollie's work was not to go into a room someplace and to hope for a better world. It was for people to see her example, from the mayor of Los Angeles to the person who arrived on Skid Row yesterday. Those folks who could see and understand that it is each one of our lights that must guide us, that must lead us, and that must ultimately heal us. At the end of our days, we're asked and confronted with two questions. Who did we know? And what did we do? Mollie was blessed to know you. I think she felt at the end of her days that she knew those people that brought the beauty to her life, that joined her in the fight, and that were a part of making sure this still stays a city of angels, with work to do, with fights to fight. But what did we do? We look behind and we see those lives transformed. We might not be Mollie. There is never going to be one like her. But inside each one of us, whether it's 1% or 10%, there is part of Mollie. And if 10 of you can get together with 10% of Mollie, that's another Mollie in our city. 100 can do it 1%. You can have 1,000 Mollies saying that right now, out there's somebody who needs us. When Steve Lopez and I went down the street right here in Hollywood, and the work that Carrie Morrison and Sarah Dussault and so many of us did for so many years here. A woman named Natalia, who was on our streets, sharing her talents of singing and rapping with me, who stood there getting a meal, but because we learned who she was and our hearts felt it, and our heads thought, and we had the guts to see it through, yesterday she was put in housing. So Mollie demands of us two things, I think. Find your peace and find your place. But find that bit of her inside of you and continue marching forward until this mission is done. Thank you all. This is for you, Selena, to have. This is, even in the toughest cutbacks, we kept the calligraphers because it's important to mark the moments in history. But this is a tribute from not the mayor, not from City Hall. This is from 4 million Angelinos who thank Mollie and bless her for her life.